You never choose to become a leader. People choose you to lead the way.
Hello and welcome back to the Manesh Palli show. Today's guest is none other than Eman Pulis.
If you never admit defeat, you never lose. You can't beat an opponent who just keeps standing up and coming for more. My biggest advice is zoom out, focus on the small wins, and don't let the summit discourage you. Yeah, I started Sigma not from zero. I like to say that I started Sigma from minus 16,000. In my early teens, when I started Sigma, my dream was to become a millionaire. So I measured becoming a millionaire in monetary terms. My dream now in my early teens is once again to become a millionaire. The only difference is I'm measuring that million not in monetary terms, but in social impact. If I can help lift 1 million people off the poverty line, then I have become a genuine millionaire.
Hello and welcome back to the Manesh Palli show. Today's guest is none other than Eman Pulis. If you're in the iGaming industry, of course, you probably already know him. He calls himself just an events guy, but he's much more than that. He's the founder of Sigma Group, Sigma Foundation, IKIGAI Ventures, as well as an entrepreneurship mentor to graduate students at Oxford University. Eman started Sigma in 2013 from his bedroom and built it into one of the most recognized global events brand in iGaming. What started off as a small business conference in Malta in 2014 with 1,000 people now is a global series of 7 large-scale shows that bring together entire iGaming ecosystem under one joyful, vibrant roof. Now we get to go behind the scenes and explore Eman's journey as an entrepreneur, his mindset, his principles that shaped him. Eman, welcome to the show.
It's great to be on your podcast, Surya. It's been a while since the last time we jammed a bit together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this episode is really personal to me because I worked at Sigma as head of marketing and it was a massive turning point in my career. Like it gave me like a perfect platform to use my knowledge, apply my skills as well as build connections, and kind of get to know the industry a little bit. So Eman, thank you for giving me that opportunity. I'm forever grateful for working at Sigma.
To hear. Look, it's not all roses, and we can expand on this as well, right? But you were with Sigma. I'd like to call it the adolescence phase. When we as humans go through adolescence, there's a lot going on. There's a lot we need to with, and puberty hits, and it's not. It looks great on the outside, but it's not great figuring out how to become an adult. And that was the time when we worked together. Sigma was not in its infancy anymore, but it was an adolescent going through puberty. So for you to say those words, having gone through that journey with us, means a lot to me, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I've only realized it, to be very honest with you, when I look back and the opportunities that I have after Sigma, what I have worked and what came to me as well is largely because of that experience. So when I look back, I was like, wow, this is the best one could ask, but when you're inside it, maybe you might not realize that. But once you move and then once you look back, it was like, okay, fantastic. And I even remember, I think it was first week at Sigma and I asked you for 40 minutes to talk about affiliates. And then you were like, that was the first time I kind of really saw you from the very close. So it was really interesting. Yeah. So I want to dive a little bit into your journey. I know you've explained your journey in a few podcasts, so I'm going to be slightly different in terms of learning that. What I'm curious about is have you always been a leader from the beginning? If we look at childhood, if we look at school competitions or something like that, where is the spirit of entrepreneurship coming from?
What a great question. And it just reminded me of something as a kid at secondary school. Look, my firm belief is you never choose to become a leader. People choose you to lead the way. And that coupled with an insane amount of consistency and drive, it's important that whenever you lead a team, you don't lead from afar, but you lead from the front and you get your hands dirty. So you show the team how it's done. You show the team that you're in the trenches, willing to take the bullet for the team. And that's how you inspire a team to rally around you. So yeah, you're reminding me of a fun story that only now I realize how quirky it was. Secondary school between the age of 11 and 15. And I remember me and a good friend of mine, we were only 12 years old, too. So we had just finished the first year of school. Our hobby, the way we used to kill our break, we had a break of 15 minutes, and then another break of 30 minutes. during a scholastic day. And the way we used to kill time is to look after the kids that are younger than us or our age. So I remember the schoolyard used to be a tier 4. The guys who are 15 years old used to take the nicest area, the area with the goalposts, and they used to play with the big leather balls. And the smaller kids used to stay in, the less attractive corners, so that was the ecosystem, a bit like prisons, the big boys get to enjoy the larger area, and then the younger crowds get to stay whatever is left. And I remember walking with this guy and saying, listen, we need to change this. We need to do something and stick up for the younger guys who are always, left in the shitty areas of the schoolyard. And I remember picking so many fights. And it was me and this other guy, it became our hobby. So we're only 12 years old, up fights with 14, 15-year-olds who were known to be school bullies, and it became a thing. So for the rest of those 4 years, I remember having these constant arguments in school until there became like this sort of equilibrium, which there were hardly any fights happening, at least to my knowledge, from what I remember seeing. And I remember having the blessing, not only from classmates, but even from the headmaster. The headmaster could see what I was doing with this other colleague. And I remember a speech from him, like he called me to the office. He said, I know what you're doing. I know you are involved in a lot of fights, but I know why you're doing it. Okay. You can leave the office. And that was his only speech. And me walking away with a bit of a blessing, understand that this guy had actually blessed without saying it out loud. What I was doing
was right.
I don't know, but I remember feeling very, very, very good about the way I was killing my time when I was just becoming a teenager. I don't know how it's related, to be honest, to what you asked me first. I guess it's always looking after those who need it, so, and yeah, that transcended after high school. The wish to build something, the wish to create something started taking shape. So I remember at college, then at university, started founding nice organizations from the Malta University Sports Club. Then I became a bit more involved in student life, and stuff like this teaches you a lot. So it teaches you how to not fall part of a system, how to always challenge the system, how to always try new things and not be scared of being different, which brings me to where we are today.
Fantastic. Now it all explains, because I was always curious, where it all started. We see that you have a bachelor's in psychology, master's in creativity and innovation, and also in diplomatic studies. How do you think these studies have helped in creating a world-class brand like SiGMA? Do you attribute some of any of it?
Yeah, tremendously. My first degree was in pedagogy. I graduated with first-class honors in education, then master's in psychology, and then another master's in diplomatic studies. They all teach you something. And me, rather than trying to zoom in, become a total expert in one field, I had decided to try different things when I was a student on campus, organizing parties. So the reason why I kept doing one degree after the other was so I could stay on campus and organize parties and sell tickets to the students around me. And it's me really, really well, because in the meantime, I was reading for this very interesting degrees, and looking back, they all taught me something, whether it's coaching my team at SiGMA, the education degree has served me really well. Psychology, whether it's organizational psychology, whether anything related to psychology, it has served me also very well. Diplomacy has helped me tremendously. I work in an international business, having those ingredients: national relations, national economics, national history, and international law. When you match those 4 ingredients, you have a fine diplomat. And those as well have served me well in an international business that we operate in today. But I'll tell you the truth, not studying commerce, having no background on accountancy, on economics, having very little background in those fields, in marketing. I could have learned a lot if I had decided to study business, commerce, MBA, which I didn't.
Okay, that's great. That's great to know. We know that events are in your DNA, right? Why do you love doing events? What is it that mainly excites you about events?
I love people. I love being with people. I love getting to know people. I never get bored of being around people. And I have this innate need in me to help. Yes. So whenever I meet someone, okay, well, is there something that I can do for you? And, there are so many opportunities to be of service, to help out there. Thousands of opportunities every day fall on your lap, giving you a chance to make someone smile. And to me, happiness is derived from that, yes? And I literally turned it into my full-time job, being able to help and support others. There's a great book by Gary Vee. I think you were in the office. Probably I had mentioned it to you as well. It was available in the office for you guys to read. It was called Jab, Jab, Right Hook, which talks about give, help others. And that merely gives you the opportunity to ask if you ever need help in the future. And I like that philosophy, and I like others in my team to embrace that as well.
I'm going to be a bit selfish here. I mean, I've been a good giver. Give. I've been following. But I think when it comes to asking, I'm not able to ask. Do you have any suggestions on how to ask the right way after giving for so long?
Shouldn't you think people are innately kind? This is what I like to assume. So if I don't know you, I want to assume that you're innately, by default, a kind person. If you've been able to help someone, support them, and I don't know, years down the line, you feel they can do something to help you get out of a sticky situation, you want to also give them that opportunity to help you, so, and you're not taking. So semantics important. I didn't say give, take. I said give, ask, but you want to give that person the opportunity to reciprocate.
Would you say that is where your definition of happiness comes from in terms of helping others? Because everyone has their own definitions of happiness, and it's a very overloaded word in itself. But would you say that is what is deriving the main thing for you as of today?
100%. I get a lot of joy by being able to better other people's lives, whether it's a small favor, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether it's something huge that lifted them out of poverty. That does make me very, very happy. I'm also blessed because I come from a very poor family. When someone is able to cross over from poor, humble beginnings, be able to cross over and live a more affluent life, but not only that, but also be able to lift
all the family
with you, yes, whether it's my parents, my siblings, then obviously my wife and kids, her family, my friends. So that also has played a significant part in making sure I wake up every morning with a smile.
Would you say that is what has given birth to Sigma Foundation? And I know that, the foundation is doing a lot of things in this area. Is that the main reason to kind of make an impact on a scale instead of just people around you, really?
Look, I like to visualize things. And in my early 20s, when I started Sigma, my dream was to become a millionaire. And I measured that million in Maltese lire, or dollars, or euros. So I measured becoming a millionaire in monetary terms. Fast forward 10 years, I got there, but I realized that there's more to life than just financial freedom. So my dream now in my early 40s is once again to become a millionaire. The only difference is I'm measuring that million not in monetary terms, but in social impact. In other words, if I can help lift 1 million people off the poverty line, then I have become a genuine millionaire. And that's the reason for the Sigma Foundation.
That's such a powerful mission to pursue in itself, because you're taking it on another level, not just with the business and commerce.
Look, once you realize that you're sitting on a gold mine, and the gaming industry is nothing short of the biggest gold mine out there. We are surrounded by hyper successful entrepreneurs, billionaires, multimillionaires. For me to sit in the eye of the storm, where they're all coming to us to take part in Sigma, and for me to not do anything about it and raise awareness, get them to contribute with me, to do all these projects on behalf of the foundation every year, knowing I could do it but not doing it would dent my happiness.
Okay.
So I have no choice. If I want to be happy, I need to be.
But do you also get certain misconceptions, or, people, do they ask you're in iGaming business, but you're doing this,
I'm in the events business. I'm not in the iGaming business. It's the Sigma Foundation, whose revenues are derived from organizing conferences to promote regulated and responsible gaming worldwide. We're not a gaming company. We're not a rogue operator accepting players underground, trying to circumvent licenses. No, we are a conference. We're bringing governments and the industry together because we strongly believe that the only way to go for the sector, for governments, is to regulate and embrace responsible gaming. Failure to do so, governments are only doing a disservice to their citizens, because players that want to gamble, they're going to gamble no matter what. They're going to end up in rogue websites, playing with casino sites that do not have their interest in mind, that are unregulated, which will lead in bigger problems. So yes, our mantra is regulate, regulate, regulate.
Fantastic. What is the belief that you have about yourself that helps you always win?
If you never admit defeat, you never lose. So have I lost? Yeah. Have I lost in certain occasions?
Maybe.
I get back up and I continue fighting, you know? You only lose when you stay on the floor and you say, oh, this is it. I'm done. That's, to me, that's when you lose. But if you keep going back up, you never lose. You can't beat an opponent who just keeps standing up and coming for more. You can't beat such an opponent. So that's how I see it. And when it's a cloudy day, when I feel like we're on the verge, that's when a leader needs to stay with his team and make sure they are motivated, they don't give up, because you're ultimately as strong as the weakest link in your team, right? So you need to make sure that your team is there with you with the same mindset, and they can find refuge in a leader that can take good decisions, that has their best interest in mind as well. But yes, ultimately the team is extremely important to run a successful organization.
But what keeps you like being super positive during the difficult phases? Is it because of the fact that there is a team behind, there are people who are reliant on you, or
100%. The team is a team of rock stars, and they definitely make my decision making easier. They bring a huge dose of sanity into the obstacles that we face. But how do I stay in control? I zoom out. FM can seem huge, but if you just zoom out, it's no big deal. Even if you crash, this is something I like to tell people who feel that they've lost it all. You know, I've had people who are going through a divorce, who are about to lose their property, have a sickness in their family, and it all just comes at once. And usually my advice to them is forget the summit, okay? You just crashed from the summit. Don't look up there, because it's going to discourage you. Focus on small wins. You know, small wins compound. After a month, after 2 months, look down to where you've come, and you're going to notice okay, this is actually not too bad. Compared to what I 2 months ago. I'm doing much better. I'm going to the gym every day. I feel healthier. I don't smoke as much. I don't drink as much. You know, I started going out again. The circle of friends I can depend on. You know, if you look down and you see progress, you know, okay, this is not so bad. And, you know, my biggest advice is zoom out, focus on the small wins, and don't let the summit discourage you.
take action and create some kind of consistency and routine, because motivation can get you to the starting line, but if you want to finish, you need consistency. You need to be able to stick with the routine.
Correct.
Cool. So, I mean, just getting back to SiGMA a little bit, I know that I've seen in some interviews that, you know, you started SiGMA with a debt of 16,000 euros, and there were some initial failures before the first summit launched. So what were those initial failures? How did that first 1 year go before launching the first show?
So I had this dream of becoming an entrepreneur for a long time, and it just kept failing once after the other. So on the fourth failure, I almost gave up, you know, and I had this big issue, not choosing the right partner. A big mistake which I did 12, 13 years ago is jumping in bed with partner who I had done no due diligence on. So we set up this business, and then months down the line, I realized this guy has a big drug issue. I didn't even know what the issue was, because I was never exposed to that scene. Yeah, but then having someone not showing up for work for an entire week, coming in one day, making a scene in the entire office and leaving. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this guy being so erratic? And so then we split ways, and I decided to keep the business with 16,000 Bank of Malta. And I decided, listen, clearly this is not going to work out. I'm going to stick to what I do best. And rather than folding the business, I said, let me do what I do best, stick back to events and do a gaming conference. So I remember going to BOV, telling them, listen, guys, this didn't work out. Please give me some time. I have this plan in mind. I'm going to paid the loan immediately. And they just kept calling every day, so the meeting was useless. They just kept calling every day. But within 6 months, I've managed to get SiGMA off the ground, and I remember paying those 16,000 euros at once. So yeah, I started SiGMA not from zero. I like to say that I started SiGMA from minus 16,000.
How do you make decisions so quickly? Is there something that you always know? Do you follow a certain procedure of making decisions? It's just very fascinating for me personally, like, because I was firsthand, I was noticing things. And I think that, I mean, I've worked with a lot of founders, CEOs, but you move at a speed that I haven't seen with anyone else.
We introduced those timely decisions in KPIs. I don't know, if HR doesn't reply to you within 24 hours or within 48 hours, you can escalate and bring it to my attention. And I'll give you an example. You can't be recruiting top talent. These greatest individuals are being headhunted by other companies out there. You do not want to miss top talent just because it took you 4 days to get back to them. So we do introduce deadlines to make sure that the process remains agile. And if something stalls on someone's desk, it's fine. Let others come in and support you with getting it out of the way. So we have this implemented at all departments, and it helps to get moving.
Okay, cool. In COVID, I was working there as well, and the whole events industry collapsed almost. I remember how quickly you pivoted. We started online events, virtual summits. Every 2 months, every 3 months, we were having virtual summits. No one was doing that, especially in the industry. What was going through your head at that time, in the sense that did you ever consider giving up? Like, how did that whole COVID go?
Not at all. I think COVID was the greatest silver lining in my business life. We were entertaining the sale of the business in 2019. But then, since it was tied to an earnout, I'm like, there's no way we're going to sell a business with a poor earnout during COVID. So we pulled the plug, sent them. And from December 2019, feeling great that I'm about to exit the business if I want to. Fast forward to January to 2020, this whole thing is going to collapse. I'm going to become redundant because no one wants to do events anymore. That is exactly the kind of pressure I need to get out of my comfort zone. During COVID, not only we managed to keep a sinking ship afloat, we also launched IKIGAI Ventures, a 20 million euro fund, which is now responsible for some really exciting projects. We also launched the SiGMA Foundation, which is also responsible for lifting 1 million people off the poverty line. Whereas SiGMA before COVID was happening only in Malta, during COVID, instead of closing shop, we launched our first show in Dubai in May 2021. That gave us the comfort to feel great about getting out of Malta. And today we have 7 conferences, and soon we'll be announcing the 8th conference per year under the brand of SiGMA. So to me, COVID was the best thing ever.
Wow. Yeah. Fantastic. That's how you turn adversity into kind of your benefit.
Yeah.
Cool. So regarding the expansion plans of SiGMA, right? I saw that SiGMA kept launching new shows every year. We've seen Toronto, we've seen Serbia, we've seen other locations that didn't work out as well. Like, how do you spot these things? Like, which city to have the show? Is it according to the need? Is it according to what you hear in the industry? How do you choose a city, and how do you make it happen so quickly in terms of like, okay, 3 months, let's do another show?
Yeah. Well, it's easier to clone a successful business. So people love the brand in general. And I think we're also investing in the right departments to keep raising the bar every year. For me, it's important that the bar doesn't stay where it is. It can only go up or down. It will never stay where it is. So failure to go up, it's going to go down. So for me, it's important to keep raising the bar. Correct. Yeah. This year, we're doing it by investing heavily in our concierge with operators, concierge with affiliates. If the operators are happy, if the affiliates are happy, the whole ecosystem is happy. And we're also doubling down on our efforts on the B2G side of things. So we have hired a very talented team of 4 individuals, senior, including the ex-CEO of the Malta Gaming Authority, and they are actively pursuing working relationships with all governments worldwide, all regulatory bodies worldwide, all tech and gaming associations worldwide. Why? Because we want the industry to see us as a trustworthy partner. Okay. Because we honestly believe that regulation is the only way to go. So we are speaking to governments who do not believe that gambling should be regulated. We are speaking to governments who are mulling the idea of regulating the space. We are speaking to governments who want to bring gaming companies to create more jobs in their cities. And we're having these healthy discussions to see where SiGMA should be going next. So we do this. We also listen to the industry very actively. If the industry tells us Brazil is waking up, we want to make sure we're in Brazil, not too early, not too late, at the right time. And that's what we did. When we went to Dubai, we knew what was coming because we had ears to the ground. And look at the Emirates today. It's about to open its first integrated resort. It has a regulatory body, the GCGRA. It's happening. So we were the first ones there because we don't want to just create an event. We want to be on the driver's seat to bring all stakeholders to one place. The Philippines, Asia is a huge market of 4.5 billion people. And whereas there were shows before, yes, but none of them have managed to bring the Asian community out of the trenches quite like we have done it. Similarly, we launched a show. It's starting this December in Colombo, in Sri Lanka. If you look at the South Asian market, if you speak to the likes of Spribe with Aviator, if you speak to anyone in the industry, they tell you that the South Asian market is huge. And from a population of 8 billion people, a quarter of that population, 2 billion, is based in those 5 countries in South Asia: India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Between those 5 countries in South Asia, a quarter of the world's population. So you tell me, doesn't the industry deserve to have a presence in South Asia? I mean, you are from South Asia, Surya, and you probably know more than others that, there is a market.
Definitely. So it's more about like seeing where the need is for the ecosystem and creating an ecosystem over there so that SiGMA is the trusted source, no matter where and no matter which market.
It's important as well. So we don't just pontificate from an office in Europe. And that's not how we do business. We respect cultural norms. We respect different customs of doing business. And that's why SiGMA has presence in 6 offices around the world, covering all hemispheres. We have remote people working from many other cities, whether it's Kenya, Sri Lanka. These are all remote offices, but we have big offices in Sao Paulo, Philippines, Serbia, Malta, Cyprus, and Noida in India. Why? Because for us, it's important that, yes, we do think global. We have shows from the Philippines to Brazil, but it's important to act local. So it's important that we have boots on the ground, carving out the agenda for speakers, meeting with suppliers to make sure that the product matches the needs of the community. And I think that has been an important ingredient of the success of SiGMA.
Yeah, I was curious about the flagship show in November. So I see that the Malta show is the main flagship show is moved to Rome. The main thing is Malta attracts a lot of business, tourism, activity that would otherwise may not happen if SiGMA is not there during the low season in November. So do you think that Malta will take a hit now that SiGMA is moving its biggest show elsewhere?
No, Malta won't take a hit. I think the show was too big for the infrastructure, and we needed to do something about it. Failure to do so was also becoming a health hazard, in my opinion. So it was insane on the country. The venue was not fully adequate for the sheer volume of people, so we needed to tone it down a little bit. Thank God the government has realized there's a huge need for state-of-the-art expo facilities on the country.
Okay.
On the
Is there a plan to build a new one?
There are plans to build one in the Army is a great location. We scaled back a little bit on Malta, but I have no doubt once the facilities can embrace the volume, we'll be back with full force. But let's not forget, the show in Malta is still attracting 12,000 people. Malta can comfortably take 12,000 people. And our show in September is set to attract delegates from across the globe.
Curious though, what would be a reason for someone to attend Malta and again in Italy like 2 months down the line?
Always had 2 conferences in Europe. 2022, we had a September show in Budapest, in Belgrade. So in 2023, we had a September show in Limassol. In 2024, that September show moved to Budapest. And in 2025, that September show is moving to Malta.
Okay.
We believe this show will be able to flourish because Malta is still a hub for iGaming in Europe. People still want to fly to Malta because there's a very healthy ecosystem in Malta, which is still thriving. So I see no problem for the two shows, the one in September and the one in November, to keep coexisting as they have done over the past 3 years.
Fantastic. Okay, that's great. So what's next for Sigma and for you personally?
Look, I'm really having a good time with the foundation. It's taking a significant chunk of my resources and my bandwidth and my attention. And I see myself transitioning, doing more of that as I get older. The Sigma group is in a great set of hands. Emily Mikallef, Emily De Maio, Gunther, Anna, Max, Mariana. These are all rock stars. Heathcliff, who's just joined us recently as well. These are all rock stars. Clive, the CFO, who you remember since time immemorial. These are all rock stars who enable me to be able to focus on other stuff. These are rock stars who can keep the ship afloat, not only on sunny days, but in very turbulent times. These are rock stars who know how to take tough decisions in a timely manner, as quick as I would have taken them many years ago when we were just a startup. And these are rock stars who can do what they do much better than I do. If it's finances, Clive is a rock star. If it's operations, Emily Mikallef, Emily De Maio, they are rock stars. If it's knowledge and strategy about gaming, Heathcliff is a rock star. If it's nurturing a team of salespeople, Anna is the most motherly rock star. You know, Sigma can only thrive with such a team. So yes, I have no problem in letting go and letting a proper team of rock stars to run the business.
You run your business in a very peculiar way, from what I remember being part of it as well. Like, it's kind of like a tribe mentality. So I want to know, like, I'm really curious, like, how do you generate that feeling of togetherness in a tribe in a company like Sigma? Because to start a company and to make someone feel as much as you want to for a brand is not an easy thing. And I think I remember as well that everyone who works at Sigma feel very good part of being in the brand. So what's, do you have any tips for anyone starting an iGaming business today who want to build a tribe-like, team?
Yeah, I don't really know what it is, to be honest with you. I love being with the team. I love knowing what's going on in their lives. And if I can get involved, I want to get involved. So I do not close the doors. And like, if they have issues at home that they wish to bring to us, door is always open, and we don't do it with any intention. It's just how we are as a business. So I think that has served the business very, very well. And people feel that they will be looked after if there are if they go through problems. Honestly, I don't know what else to tell you about this. It just works.
Cool. Okay. You mentioned about the 8th show. Where is it going to be and when?
I'll give you a scoop, Surya. Only my team knows. We haven't announced it, but I'll be very happy to announce it on your podcast. We have the largest conference in the entire Americas, the #1 show for North and South America in terms of volume, and I'd say even in terms of business generated. In terms of number of exhibitors, it's the show in Sao Paulo that organized last week. It is still perceived as a Brazilian show. It's run in Portuguese, English, Spanish doesn't feature in it. It's way south in the entire continent. Couple that with the fact that we have never set foot in the United States. We wanted to go to Canada, but we didn't feel there was a need for us there. We also never felt need for us to be in the States because Clarion, G2E, Next, SBC, the tribes, they're all doing amazing shows in North America. So we felt we should be in North America. But I think it's the right time for us. I'm sure it's the right time for us to split Sigma Americas into Sigma South America in Brazil and Sigma North America, not in the US, not in Canada, but in the North American city of Mexico. Come 2026, we'll be launching the inaugural show, the first edition of Sigma North America in Mexico. It will be run in English and in Spanish. The territory is conveniently located in Central America, so we will be gunning on all fronts to attract also the Latin American market, the Spanish-speaking market. Let's not forget, Mexico is conveniently located between the two coasts, West Coast and East Coast in the States. So whereas it's a long flight, if you live in California, if you're a tribe in California, it's a long flight to go to Miami. It's a more convenient flight to come to Mexico. And the same for the other side. If you live in New York, it's a long flight to go to the West Coast, but it's a bit of a more convenient flight. If you live in Florida or if you live in East Coast to come to our show in Mexico. Let's also not forget that the Mexican player loves to consume American entertainment. So when it comes to sports betting, what goes on in the US, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, hockey, they love to consume American sport. So we see a huge opportunity for this show to flourish, quite frankly. And we're going to leave no stone unturned to make it work in 2026.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great new announcement. Thanks for sharing that here. Just a quick fire round questions. Do you recommend any book for entrepreneur who's just starting out?
The World is Flat, Thomas Friedman, Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vee. Those two are good stuff.
Cool. 5 people you look up to?
5 people I look up to. My mother, my father, Elon Musk, I look up to. I like his quirkiness. Do I need to give you 2 more? Yeah, Keith Marshall. He runs the Sigma Foundation. I've known him for 20 years and I have never seen him step out of line ever. And the guy is bigger than life, you know? Loud, he talks a great, he never let me down once with his words. So I look up to his eloquence and his command of English there. One to go. Yeah, Alex Tomic is someone I really enjoy spending time with. He's in his 50s, but his love for life, I don't see it very often. His leadership, his charisma, he's someone I look up to. And I hope in my 50s, I have his same zest to life as well. So there you go, 5 people.
Thank you so much. Before we close off, just one brand you really love apart from Sigma, let's say.
One brand
I
really love apart from Sigma, gaming brand or?
Any brand.
Tom's Shoes. I love how they have managed to integrate giving back in a commercial model. If only companies can embrace giving back in a similar fashion as Tom's Shoes have. So people buy a pair and they donate a pair to one who needs it. Yeah, and that has become their greatest marketing effort. So I'm a big fan of entrepreneurial charity, not charity like begging people to give you money because that's not sustainable. But if people manage to find sustainable ways of giving back, that I look up to. So yeah, Tom's Shoes is a great company, great example.
Well, Eman, thank you so much for sharing everything so openly. This episode is very special for many reasons, and I hope it inspires other founders in gaming and other entrepreneurs from every side of business and life. You've built more than a company, you've built a tribe, and I'm proud also to have been part of that journey. So thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe.
Thank you, Surya.